Hello, hello.
Welcome to the Local 24 podcast. In 3, 2,
Yo, welcome back.
What's up?
Having some technical difficulties.
This is crazy because I don't have any time to prepare. It's just let's go.
Yeah.
Which is probably better.
You don't ever want to think about something too much, right? Oh man. So, in here with Ryan Kelly. What's the haps, dude?
What's
What
up?
have you been up to?
What's it been? A week or two since we've been?
2 weeks. Yeah.
2 weeks. Well, just more baby stuff. We were just talking before the mics came on that we had Sarah who does our social media. She did some baby pictures, so hoping to have
Yeah.
some of those soon.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Baby's
Sarah's a
doing well.
multi-talented girl.
Yeah, she does it all.
She's very busy.
She does it all. So she came over and did that. It was cool. And then we just been going to, doctor's appointments and all that kind of nonsense that you have with a new human. But it's been good. We've enjoyed it. What was there? There was a holiday in between, right? Memorial Day?
Oh, yeah.
Was that in between?
Yeah.
Had a Memorial Day. Was that in between? No.
Maybe. I don't know.
No, that was a month ago. No, that's wrong. One's coming up. 4th of July is coming up.
Oh, yeah. 4th of July. Yes. That's my favorite holiday.
Is it? Mm-hmm. Like because of America or because of like cooking out and partying?
Not really. Yeah, I think it's just always been like the whole like community aspect. I grew up in Latrobe.
Yeah.
So the 4th of July there is like off the chain. It's amazing. Like there's a fair there that's like all week long. Tons of, stuff to do, food vendors. They got the rickety rides that pull into town.
The carnies.
It's really fun. And, when I was like younger and hanging out with my buddies, we would all go down and skateboard at the stadium, which was right next to the park in Legion Keener. And we would just hang out down there. And like for like a week, we would just, feel like we were somewhere else. Like it was crazy, like a tourist town or something like that.
Yeah, I would always go down to Latrobe for 4th of July because they usually do something, I think, for the Sunday, the banana split thing. That's always featured. They have a couple.
Split Fest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Latrobe has a couple different cool things going on around this time as far as like outdoor festivals go. There's usually some pretty good food.
Yeah. Have you tried new restaurant? Well, it's not new, but it's in the Art Center. It's called Ricolita's.
No.
Dude.
What is it sounds Italian.
Sounds that way. They it's so good. Like their portion sizes are ridiculous. Like if you order a salad, it's this big. Like a chicken salad, and it's like I don't know, $10.
Yeah.
And you get so much food. Like I took my mom out there for lunch one day. I went down and got her from work and was like, "Hey, let's go have some lunch." And we went up and we got salads, and it ended up being like lunch and dinner.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. Their food is so good. Everything's handmade, like the bread, all that stuff. They make it right like in the morning and stuff. So it's really good.
Latrobe has some really good food. Pizza specifically, I know we talked about this in the past. I feel like Latrobe is the pizza spot. They've got so many good pizza places, and I don't really know if we beat them. I think they win.
Yeah, I don't know. You'll have to come to my backyard someday.
Okay, all right.
No, they have Gino's. Ginelli's. That was the spot.
Right.
First job, favorite pizza, all of that. But Falbo's, they have Joey's if you're into that. I used to be, like forever. I love Joey's. And then something happened one day and I was just like, I don't know that I like this is one of my favorites anymore. I don't know. My whole taste just changed.
I have never ordered Joey's. I've always just eaten it if it was somewhere at like a party or an event or something. I've eaten it, but I've never gone out of my way to get Joey's. I don't care for it, but I'm weird. There's usually people who hate it and love it. I actually don't really care. I'm in the middle, I think, which is the minority.
No drama. No
drama
drama, Kelly.
From this guy. That's just good radio right there.
Right.
No drama.
No drama.
But it's not. Everyone says it's the sweet sauce. It's not the sweet sauce. It's the sweet crust.
It's the crust.
So
Pretty crazy.
yeah.
speaking of drama, have you kind of been tuning in to what has been transpiring on these January 6th hearings?
Yeah, so I'll be honest. I am pretty caught up with the first 3.
Yeah.
There was one last night,
Yeah.
which I'm not caught up on. I know like some basic details, but I don't really know like the bombshell stuff that was dropped.
Right.
So maybe you can fill in those gaps for me if you
Yeah.
know.
So yesterday, they were talking to the governor of Georgia and Arizona, and so they were talking with them and kind of just going through the conversations that, or the communications that were happening between Donald Trump's team and them during the election, in like December-ish, late December. And so what they were saying was like really crazy stuff. Like, and this information is coming from, you know, renowned people. Like, they're not like just randoms that they picked off the street and that they're like lying to you or something. And they have recordings of these phone calls that were just like, you know, the guy was like, you need to find 11,000 votes. And they were like, well, there's no votes to find. And he was like, oh, no, I know you're going to do it. I know you'll find him. Like, to me, he was treating like those moments. I feel like, and I have no idea, but I feel like he was treating those moments like he was on Apprentice again. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to show this person who is below me the business, and they are going to fold, and they're going to do what I want. Like, that's what it seemed like, and that's how almost every conversation is going.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I have so many thoughts. This is so far beyond just a political debate, because it's not really a debate anymore at this point. What it is it's an opportunity to learn and educate ourselves from a psychology standpoint, from a philosophy standpoint, which I'm really into. And I mean that for, you know, political leaders, Donald Trump himself, but also the American people who, you know, actually have a strong opinion on this. And a lot of people that were just straight duped by this guy,
Right, yeah.
hoodwinked, and how that came about. So I have all these thoughts that I've just been working through the past couple weeks on this. But to speak to what you just said with Trump specifically, you know, I've watched a couple documentaries on him, you know, done some readings on him and stuff.
Sure.
This is a guy who was just given pretty much everything his entire life, and when he wasn't, he strong-armed them in the sense that you're talking, like the Apprentice style. Mm-hmm. You know, he built major towers and hotels and buildings, and then when the bill came, he just wouldn't pay it, or certain things like that.
Right, yeah.
I'm not an individual who's just, you know, sitting here saying everything Donald Trump does is wrong. You know, I don't necessarily take that stance of
Right, yeah.
I'm on the way left and I hate the right. That's not me.
Right.
But I can understand an individual who is so polarizing that the Republican Party held on to this guy, this shooting star, all the way at the top, and he won because he's just such a force. And now on the other side of it, where he loses, they're still holding on because this is their star that has essentially fallen from grace at this point.
Right, yeah.
It's been really interesting, and just the committee coming out and bringing all this. They've been at work for a year now. They obviously have some huge bombshell stuff because they've been working really hard on it, and it's some stuff that we didn't know was out there. And at this point, I think it's kind of cut and dry as far as what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild, the amount of information that is being given to the American people, which is something that we normally don't get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we're learning things that we're not supposed to know.
Yeah.
Or that, I mean, because, like, I remember whenever Biden got in, and there was, you know, some communication back and forth about, like, hey, Donald Trump was asking if the Biden campaign will, you know, basically, what would effectively just be like, destroy, or not destroy, but keep these documents from the public about January 6th.
Yeah.
And it was crazy to me to, like, sit there and, like, because that's what I expected. That's what I expected all along. I was like, we're never going to find out what happened here. We're never going to find out any of this stuff. And Biden was just like, nope, it's coming out. Like, it's going to happen. I'm not going to block this. And, same deal. I was, I have some strong feelings about Donald Trump. I'm not a huge fan. I think everybody knows that. I did vote for Biden. Now I'm not. They're both assholes, in my opinion. So, like, it is what it is. I remember telling a kid on Facebook one time, like, yo, the difference between you and me is that if Biden gets in and fucks up, I'll call him an asshole. Like, it's exactly what you said. You'll ride this star to the very end.
Yeah.
And it just, I feel bad for, especially yesterday in the trial, there was a mother and daughter who were election workers, and they're just like normal people, like normal American people, two African-American ladies, mother, daughter. I don't remember the daughter's name, the mother's name. She's called Miss Ruby all through town. She's a small business owner, everything like that. And then to have the full weight of the President of the United States targeting you and calling you thugs and calling you hustlers and all that shit because there was video of the mom and daughter at the election center, and they were counting votes and doing whatever, all the absentee ballots that came in late. And so the Trump team, not so much Trump, I want to blame the team itself because they were all complicit, was saying that they were passing back and forth these USB drives, like secret USB drives. You could see them handing back and forth something every once in a while. And it turned out they were ginger mints. They were sucking on candy. Okay? And so there's these secret suitcases that are holding all these like crazy fake ballots, supposedly. And then these poor ladies are apparently criminal masterminds who have things on USB drives. It's just ridiculous. It's, and one of the big bombshells that dropped yesterday was the fact that now, and the two governors that were on there are the ones who dropped this information. So, like, It was high up. That there was a plan. The team itself, Trump's team, planned to put in fake electors for him, like in there. So to replace the Biden electors with these fake electors. They had like fake credentials. They had a plan. They were supposed to hide in the Capitol these people. This was the plan. They were supposed to hide in the Capitol overnight so that when they woke up, they were in the building and they were there to talk to these people and hand in their fake votes.
Wow.
Like, that's fucking crazy, dude. Yeah. That's like movie shit.
Yeah.
Like, and it's totally crazy. And like, whatever my feelings are for Donald Trump, whatever. But, I mean, the guy doesn't quit. I'll tell you that. Yeah. But, like, Giuliani and this Eastman dude, like, I've been hearing about this Eastman. Who the fuck is John Eastman? John Eastman. And finally, I realized who the hell he is. He was the cowboy hat wearing guy on the stage the day of January 6th. He kind of looks like, if you know who Dr. Michio Kaku is. He's kind of rocking the same hairdo with a cowboy hat. This dude is intense, man. Like, he's a very, I don't know, man. Like, what we call it in the film industry is, kind of going guerrilla style, You just get out there and it's quick and dirty and you do whatever you have to do to get the job done. And that's the way this dude handles law, apparently.
Yeah. It's really, it's been cool to watch this one because this is one of the first ones I can remember these congressional hearings where it's not partisan in the sense that, you know, you look at the big ones like Watergate, you look at all of them, and there's usually a sense where a Democrat or Republican will say something, and then the opposing side will just undercut everything that they just said. And then it's just like this really long, played out, who's telling the truth, this side, and it goes back and forth. This is one that's completely different, and that's the reason why it's polarizing, is because it seems like everybody's pretty much on the same side of what went on. So much so that there's two Republicans in this committee, one being Liz Cheney. And, you know, she's taken probably the brunt of this. Her point is basically being on the committee. Her point from the very beginning has kind of been, you know, I'm trying to save the Republican Party, and the best way to do that is to cut out the cancer that is Donald Trump right now. And she's trying to convince all these individuals to stop playing along because he's going to go away. And then now what are we left with when he eventually goes away? And a lot of people aren't playing that game with her, so she's kind of been exiled from the Republican Party. Yeah. But it's cool to see almost this sense of everyone's kind of on the same page.
Yeah, finally. Yeah. It's weird that it took this amount of something to make that happen. The trial, I think it might have been day 3 when they talked about Mike Pence and stuff. I mean, like, dude, the amount of, like, pressuring that guy was getting, the fact that there were people outside trying to physically harm him, like, for real fucking kill him.
They were screaming, hang Mike Pence.
Yes. Like, I mean, there's videos that they just released of, you know, the total fucking whackers on that side that were like, we're going to drag him out here and kill him. Yeah. Like, that's insane, man. Yeah. You know, it's crazy. And I have you know, Republican friends and all that stuff. And it's not like a slam to the party at all whatsoever. It's just like, you know, all of this stuff is finally making the light of day. And I'm wondering, and no shade, if somebody on the Republican side, you know, gets this evidence and does what they should do with it in their brain, process that shit, and just be like, oh man, you know, this wasn't good.
That's just it.
Like, that's what I'm hoping people do. That's what you're supposed to do with fucking information.
That's just it. That's why I think we're all kind of on the same side here, regardless of what party you're in, because you have a small group of individuals who are faced with facts, including Donald Trump himself. I mean, he was told by Attorney General Barr and all these individuals, hey, there's absolutely nothing to back these claims up. And you have this group of radical people who just listen to absolutely everything he says and gain no other information. And then, you know, this is what happens is it ends up being this insurrection, this run on the Capitol. And so that's the philosophy piece I'm talking about is you have to continuously wake up and choose to deny truth and reality in order to take a narrative that fits whatever you want it to fit, whatever your viewpoint is. And that's what we've come to now. And it takes a giant congressional hearing showing obvious facts to bring that to light. Right. And, you know, to be honest with you, I still don't think Trump's necessarily going to go away anytime soon. Eventually he will, but still he's going to keep pushing, or the party will keep pushing. He's really left his mark in a way that you know, we're all feeling it. I also want to mention that I'm not here to just bash one group. I think, you know, on the other side, to bash the left side, because I want to keep it equal, is they're using this as a great opportunity to say, we know the economy's bad, but look at what the Republican Party did, you know. And so it's kind of like a hiding of this current situation, which is
that's what we do. That's what everyone that's what we do as a society. Yeah. It's like, you know, if there's something going on over here, media runs a piece to fucking get you all over here. Right. And that's just the way that it is. And like I said earlier, like, I felt like we were finding out things that we weren't ever supposed to know, because government, and on both sides, all the way around, they hide shit. They hide shit from you. Like, me and a few friends of mine and stuff like that, like, I believe that there are extraterrestrials, things like that. And why in the fuck is it taking so long for them to just go, yeah, there are? Like, what? Come on. You just outed a U.S. president for, all the crazy shit that he's doing. Tell me there's aliens. I just want to hear it.
Is that the congressional hearing you want to see?
That's what I want to see.
Put an alien on the stand. Who are you?
The UFO hearings.
Get Men in Black in there. Yeah. So it's been really interesting to watch. On my way here, I was behind a truck, and the truck had a sticker that said, "If you don't like Donald Trump, you probably won't like me either," and I'm okay with that. Or I think that was actually it verbatim.
Yeah.
And I just the whole time I have no negative emotion except for just thinking like, what? Why are you so tied to this person? Like, what is it? Is it your belief system? Because if that's the case, then I don't necessarily think this person holds those same beliefs.
Right.
Yeah. And when you're talking about these higher up political figures hiding things from us, the deal is that they benefit off of the fear and the fighting all the time. So whether their party wins or loses, they're still benefiting financially and through power and all those types of things. And so no one's 100% for you, the American person. At least that's my. I'll say that's just for me. That's my belief. Is that
what are you, some kind of Alex Jones? Alex Jones motherfucker?
I think we're. I won't get into this too much, but my belief is, somewhere along the 50s and 60s, we turned from being a country that was unified into sort of us all being individuals.
Yeah.
We're all about being very individualistic and having our own say, and I think that eventually reached the ranks of leadership, and now leadership is now individual looking out for self, even though it might claim I'm for the people.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's honestly, it's the craziest thing was to watch yesterday and see those Republican governors spill the beans. I mean, like it's to the point where I think that a select group of these higher ups are just so backed into a corner at this point.
Yeah.
That it's like, rats escaping a sinking ship. It's like they're gone, man. Like they can't be tied to it anymore.
Yeah.
And like there's not even 1 minute of the day that would go by that I would consider putting a Joe Biden sticker on my fucking car or saying like, yo, if you don't like Joe, then you're a pussy. Like, I don't care. Yeah. Like, I don't care that much. Those people are not important to me.
Well, plus you got to answer for that. You have to answer for that constantly because someone's going to come to you and be like, well, what about this? What about this? And that's exhausting to have to constantly answer for another person because you're not, Jordan, you're not Joe Biden. So you don't have to answer for Joe Biden. But when you put that sticker on, all of a sudden you're flying that flag, and it's now I encapsulate everything that is Joe Biden. Mm-hmm. That can get exhausting.
Oh yeah, I mean, like that's what I always think. Like, the people that have all the bumper stickers and stuff like that on their car, like, how many times have you come out from the grocery store and like there's a fucking dent in the door of your car? Like, is somebody like bashing your car like, whoops, sorry, my bad?
Yeah.
Or like let their cart hit their car, something like that. It's like, I wouldn't even want to put the target on my back. Like, get out of here. It's not worth it. Because exactly what you said. Everybody's out for themselves.
Yeah.
And like, dude, you to support something that, this mirage of unity is insane because like that's what you're gonna get is people just, you have a target on your back and people are gonna act on it.
Yeah, it's almost like they're searching for a particular identity to take on. I'm a Joe Biden person or I'm a Trump person.
Yeah,
and
again, it's sad that it's at that point though. Well, like why the fuck is it I'm this or I'm that and it's gonna be Republican or Democrat? Like, why can't you just like, I'm going to be an awesome dad. I'm going to be a great fucking barbecuer.
Yeah.
I want to be a skateboarder again at 39 years old. Like, dude, find something else to do with your fucking time.
Well, it gets back to the individual thing. People are looking for a sense of community.
Right.
And that's why we have all these fights, all these wars. It's because you want You want to belong to something, and when you belong to a political party, you feel like you belong to this correct group, and the other side is the dark side, and I know something that they don't know, and I'm right. And then when you have this group around you that all agrees with you, and you're watching TV shows and news channels and things that are constantly pumping the same information,
right.
and you think, I'm definitely right. There's
sure.
and I have this community to back me up. It's really lonely to be kind of the independent in the middle and be like, actually, you're all crazy, and here's why.
Right, yeah.
It's lonely, and so individuals like that, like myself, who I like to kind of play both sides. I don't have a group to go to and say, let's get them, boys. It's more like, well, actually, you're not looking at this in the right lens, and you're not looking at this in the right lens. I'm probably not looking at this in the right lens, but here's the information, and that's what makes this so refreshing. This hearing is it's transparency. It's like, this is just the facts that we found. No party affiliation. This is what happened. This is the timeline.
Yeah.
And there's one guy that's in the center of it all.
Yeah. It's wild. Just watching them, and there does seem to be these theatrics during these trials. Like you'll see certain people when they're asking questions and stuff like that. They'll just be like, "And was this the worst time of your entire life?" And it's you know what? It was the worst time of my entire life. And it's just like, dude, come on. Like, I mean, you're putting the facts out there. Like, stick with that. Yeah. Don't get into.
And you're extremely traumatized. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Irrecoverable. Yes.
Yeah, it's wild. But yeah, man, just the wild shit going on in the world and stuff like that. And back to 4th of July. I mean, it being my favorite holiday. Yeah. I mean, I really did enjoy that whole like sense of unity and community and all of that stuff. And it's kind of weird, like what this whole entire like separation has done. And I swore to my wife that I would never say this live on a podcast because I don't want it to be misconstrued. But I've explained it. It's kind of like during that whole battle, 2020 to present, has just been this weird thing where it's like it's almost like the American flag has been like weaponized towards other people. And it's like, if you're the guy that's flying your American flag on the back of your 84 F-150 flying down the road, it's like you get to that point where you're like, well, I don't want people to associate me with them. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like
American patriot type.
Right. Like the whole like patriot, we the people, fucking January 6th people, the people we were talking about.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's very weird because like I love being from America. I respect this country more than anything. The fact that we're allowed to sit here and do this is incredible. Yeah. And for people to have different opinions and things like that, I forget who said it, maybe Reagan or something. I'm quoting one of the guys from the trial the other day, but he just said, like, the fact that we have an election, a free and fair election every single 4 years is a miracle. It's nothing short of a miracle.
Yeah.
Because, like, we're the only country that does that and has the, I guess that I don't know.
Well, that's a George Washington thing. Here's an individual who they were basically like, we want you to be the king. And he was like, no.
Right.
That's not what we talked. That's not what we founded this country on. Mm-hmm. So, we have Washington who's lauded as this great leader, and it's because of his integrity, because of he was who he said he was. And you hope being in present day that we have the same type of leaders who are who they say that they are. Would someone like Trump ever, if he was awarded, to be the president forever, would he ever give that up? Probably not.
Right. Yeah.
I'm just saying that based on his character, just from my perspective. But when we talk about this country was founded on this, and our forefathers and the Constitution, and all that, I know that can spark debates. But really, what it is, it's getting back to, we are trying to make this as free as possible, as equal as possible, and it wasn't as equal as possible when it was founded. We know that, but we want to get back to those the foundation, the building blocks that we were founded on. So yeah, when you're saying like, oh, this guy's flying a flag, I don't want to be that. It's like, if I'm on one side, if I'm on the other side, I think, oh, you're not as American as I am.
Right.
We're both citizens of America. We're both 100% American. And if you can't see that, if you have to fly your flag around and say, I'm more American than everybody else, you're wrong.
Right, yeah. And it's weird because, like, you know, I have no problem flying a flag at my house or anything like that. Yeah. It's, you know, just the idea that, you know, it got to a weird point where I was just like, ugh, like, there's so much of this going on over there, and, like, I don't want to be, you know, misconstrued as this. And it's such a weird thing. Like, the things that you start to believe, like, internally and things. Like, during 2020, like, we sat in our house for so long. Like, Jesse and I sat there, and this was, like, just a powder keg because it was, like, nothing to do, social media, and politics. And it was just like, okay, I'll play. And then, like, you know, you have your opinions and you throw your opinions out, and then, you know, somebody jumps on your comment and calls you a fucking asshole, and then blah blah blah, and, like, and then you're losing friends left and right. And it's just like, it's very funny because, like, my wife would just plead and beg and just be like, please do not do this, don't do this, don't put anything up. So it took me a long time, but I finally was just like, screw it, I'm done. I'm not playing this stupid game anymore.
Good for you.
It's not getting us anywhere. It's not getting us anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't care who you are. You could literally be the most world-renowned political science, whatever the fuck. And if you're going to get on social media and start just, like, spewing facts, I'm going to go air quotes on that one, I don't care. Like, I don't believe that you know everything. And I feel like you said, like, you know, you're just getting that pumped in information. People put themselves in a vacuum. Mm-hmm. Like, I used to watch CNN. Well, of course. What do you think I was hearing all the time? Orange Man bad, Donald Trump terrible, blah, 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 fuck that guy. And a lot of people I know watch Fox News, and it's the same goddamn thing. He should be the king. He should blah, blah, blah. Fuck Joe Biden, all this stuff. And it's just such a weird place to be in. Like, you know, I stopped watching the news. I loved watching the news at one point, like, and that all stemmed from September 11th. That was the first time I think I ever in my entire life sat down and watched TV, like the news. And I was like, whoa, these guys have just, like, tons of information, and I couldn't get enough information about September 11th. Like, I needed to see everything about it. I've watched, dude, I guarantee you, almost every documentary ever made about it, everything.
Even the conspiracy ones?
Even the conspiracy ones. Just to see, like, what, you know, what's on both sides, you know? And it's just so weird to me that, you know, I didn't know that CNN, at the time, I had no idea that CNN was biased in, you know, towards the left. And
well, that's because CNN doesn't make money off of the facts. Fox News doesn't make money off the facts. They make money off of ratings, which is you get ratings and higher views if you pick one side and you stick to it. You know, right now, you and I could probably have a lot more views if we just picked a side and ripped the other side. We'd at least get 50%, you know, that would stay and be lifelong fans.
Now everyone's just calling us assholes.
I always want that. I wish we could get Can we get comments right now? I want people to just rip me apart.
I don't know.
I know. Love that.
My phone is blowing up in my pocket right now, so I'm not 100% sure. I don't know that I even want to.
If we can get, like, live, like, people just taking me down.
Live chat.
I would love that.
But it really is just like, you know, I really hope that, if anything, what comes of these trials and stuff is just that people realize that there is, and on both sides, no side of the aisle here, there is some shady shit that goes on in government, and we are not supposed to know about it.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that there are these fake electors that are supposed to stay in the Capitol all night long and wake up and present themselves as the legitimate ones, they went to the point of mailing those ballots back to Washington to get into the National Archive. Like, that's mind-blowing. This is a movie plot.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hope from this we, as a people, understand, because I hate to be like the hippie peace guy this whole time. I hate that view, but like...
Want me to break out the weed?
Yeah, some psychedelics or something. Is that if we disagree on an argument, I hope we can get to a point where it's like, okay, I disagree with you. I don't... You have the wrong viewpoint, is how I see it. But I can at least appreciate that you're coming from a standpoint of you think that's what's best for the nation and for the people.
Yeah.
And I think we've gotten away from that a little bit. Because right now, getting back to weaponizing the American flag, what we do is we say, you disagree with me, you hate this group of people, it's always this like attack.
Yeah.
And it's not a sense of, okay, you have this viewpoint, I don't agree with that, but I can at least see why you view it that way, even though I completely disagree. I at least see that, like, oh, you think that's what's best for your family. You think that's what's best for the country. On top of that, also, I always talk about this. I talk about this in my classes with my students, which sometimes they don't engage because of that, is I think I mentioned this before. We're built on a system that we're supposed to vote for ourselves because no one else will. So I have to vote I have to cast my vote of what I think. And now we're kind of getting to a point where we're voting for what we think is right for everybody, which I'm for. That's great. But then the system gets a little rocky because you're no longer voting for yourself. You're voting for what you think is best for a group of people. And so I don't know. I don't really have a point there. I just think it's really interesting. Like, if everybody just casts whatever vote, and democracy, we go off of who the highest amount of votes.
Right.
But now I'm like, oh, well, I want what's best for Jordan, so I'm going to vote in that way.
Yeah.
Do you see that ever?
Yeah. I mean, it's like going back to the whole like weaponized thing is just, I feel like I drive for work a lot. So I'm always like on the road, and I always see these trucks with the big thing in the back window that's like, we the people. And it's got like all this stuff. And I'm just like sitting there thinking like, man, those are very important words. Like, I try to separate myself from the stigma that has become we the people. Yeah. Like, and it's like, dude, the Constitution is very important. That is why we have free and fucking fair elections. That is like, the basis of everything our country is built on. And so those words are very important. But the fact that they now are associated with people that, breached our own Capitol building, folks who swear up and down that they back the blue, but then beat the living shit out of all of these people at the Capitol. One gentleman died, Brian Sicknick, dead. Another officer that was there, female, she was on one of the court hearings, I think maybe day 2. She got the shit kicked out of her. She's, just a petite, blonde lady.
Is that the police officer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, she got the living shit kicked out of her.
Yeah. Yeah, she fell on a block. She crushed her, or broke her head open on a step.
On a
concrete step or something.
Yeah. And that's like, for a group of people that sit there and just tout the rule of law and things like that, that's where I get confused, because there's a lot of like fringe people. I don't consider all Republicans bad, and I don't consider all Democrats to be associated with like the Black Lives Matter movement, things like that. I don't. These are two fringe groups, and Antifa and Proud Boys and all that stuff. These are all like kind of groups that have kind of molded themselves into what they think they should be doing, which is protecting the people of the United States. And it's really all those things really turn into is violence. And what I think needs to happen, and I think it's probably a popular opinion, but we need to find an independent candidate. There needs to be a third party. There really has to be, and it's very funny that, I would even go this far. Like, I'm half joking, but I mean, like, it should just be mandated that the next election is a fucking independent, just to wipe the slate clean. Wipe the slate clean.
Who do we pick?
And just let the person clean up this fucking disastrous mess that, Republicans and Democrats have fucking created in the last 2 years.
Yeah. Who'd you go with? Who's the independent that wins?
I have no fucking idea.
Everyone's Dwayne The Rock Johnson to run for president.
Right, yeah. Like, we need another fucking
Celebrity, yeah. You know what you should do? I'm going to start this right now. And well, no, I'm not going to say it because we can't cut anything. We can't cut anything because we're live. So we'll talk after. No, you know what? I'm not even going to. Yeah, I'll say it. I think you should run for some, like mayor of Greensburg. I think you should do that. You have such a solid following. I think you could actually do it.
I think Rob Bell's doing a great job.
He is doing a great job. That's why I didn't want to say it. I don't want to attack Rob Bell.
Nah, he's the man.
I'm just building you up. I'm not tearing him down. I'm building you up.
The first headlines in the paper would be Greensburg mayor carted out of Badge's bar once again. Greensburg mayor blacked out at Permane Brothers 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday.
Tax money goes to medical bills.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Like, I really just want somebody who can wipe the slate clean and really kind of unite people again. Like, that's my biggest thing. Like, everybody was so worried about whether you are Democrat or whether you're a Republican. So much so to the point where me and one of my best friends and my wife were at a bar, a local bar, one that's very close to us. And we were, I was in the bathroom one night with a gentleman, and he, out of nowhere, just decided to ask me what political party I'm affiliated with. And I was just like, nah, dude, I'm not getting into this. Like, I just quit posting about all this shit. I'm done. Don't worry about it. And he's like, nah, dude, no, it's no big deal. He's like, just tell me. He's like, I don't care. Like, fuck whatever. Fuck politics. And I'm like, I'm not saying anything. And then finally, after like 5 minutes of like this guy just not letting me out of the bathroom, I'm like, well, I was like, I'm pretty left. Okay. Like, I mean, like, I like people, and it just seems like, a lot of the stuff that we're hearing about just isn't, it's not so great for the people, And he's like, oh, okay. He's like, here, come up here with me. And I was like, okay. We get up there. He introduces me to this giant of a man who is sitting at the bar. He is like a 24-year-old, 25-year-old farm boy giant. And he has a red shirt on and stuff like that. And he's like, this is my friend, blah, 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 whoever the hell his name was. And he goes, he's a Republican and a soldier. And I was like, awesome, man. I was like, well, I looked at blah, blah, blah. And I said, shook his hand. And I said, thanks for your service, man. I appreciate that. And this dude looked at the guy and goes, why are we being introduced? And he was like, he said he's a Democrat. And he goes, who fucking cares? And he was like, hey, man, have a good night. And he like patted me on the shoulder, and I went back down to my group of friends, and I'm like sitting there, and I was just like so blown away by the idea that like, why are you trying to back me into a fucking corner?
Yes, that guy was just like trying to set you up to brawl a little.
Right? It's so absolutely ridiculous. Like, and that's the type of thing that I want to get away from. It's like, are you a Democrat or are you a Republican? No. I'm a humanitarian. I fucking want people to feel welcome here. I want people to thrive here. I want our economy to thrive here because the people are thriving here. I think that there's lots of work that we need to do.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much that.
Yeah. But that's a cool story, because that is a pretty good metaphor of what's going on. It's just like, there's no conversation. It's just you know, oh, you have opposing views. Now something has to happen negatively, and that's what we see a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's so wild.
Are you getting blown up?
Oh yeah.
I
Mainly it's my wife. I'm
Is your
probably
wife
getting
watching?
yelled at here.
Why? I think you've been pretty respectable.
Yeah, I'm being yelled at.
I wonder
So,
if I'm being. I have a lot of notifications too.
But yeah, I mean, like, she knew this one was gonna be a little hot. I mean, like, and what's the deal? Like, are we supposed to just fucking pretend like none of this is going on? Like, none of this evidence is actually coming out? Like,
No.
are we supposed to just, like, say, oh, well, fuck, I don't know about it. I'm not talking about it. I'm not getting myself in trouble. I'm not getting myself in trouble. I'm sitting here talking about evidence. I'm talking about things that have been shown in a court of law, and I'm just commenting on it.
Which is what I think we should do. That's why we're doing this.
Right.
We have responsibility as the people whom this affects to
Yeah.
to have a discussion about it. We're not going at each other's throats. We're not attacking
yeah.
a third party. We're just having a discussion.
I haven't called Donald Trump an asshole yet,
I
and I don't plan on it.
don't know.
He's-
We have to watch it back.
Right. No, I don't think I have.
Yeah, okay.
It just, regardless of my feelings for the guy, he was the president, and he, did what he did.
I watched a particular documentary on him, and it was the one where I think it was where he built Trump Tower, and it was referencing some of the stuff I said earlier, where he just got all this work done and never paid the bill, never. He actually finagled it where he didn't have to pay taxes for 30 years in New York City and all these types of things.
I wonder how you go about that. Like, people are so goddamn smart when that. When
That
happens.
That's the thing is, like, I actually loved that. Like, if you just take the name Donald Trump out of it, if you just look at like a con artist like that too, and my uncle and I talk about this. There's specific people that become billionaire CEOs or presidents or things like that. It's individuals who can sort of turn something off in their brain and just truly believe rules don't apply. They belong at the top. They have all power, and that's one of those individuals. And I think there is something to, if you keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, sometimes the rules don't apply to you. Sometimes you get away with it, and that's the case of this. It just so happens that he got all the way to the top, and there's all this evidence that now we're dealing with it. But you look at all the stuff that he's done in the past that's just kind of gone away, and that's just because he had the brute force to get through all that kind of stuff. He still has all the towers. He still has all the real estate. He still has all the fortune. He still has the casino. I mean, everything. And it's really interesting to just study that type of person. They can just do that. When you talk to a sane individual, that's where you get the people who are like, I don't know about this guy. Which I get, because I'm there too. I'm like, I don't know about this guy, but I find him fascinating just to watch all that he's accomplished and all that he's done.
There's no doubt. I mean, the dude's a rocket ship for sure. I mean, like, unfortunately, his jet wash has been left, for people to pick through and stuff like that. I mean,
he was considered the savior of New York.
Right?
New York was depressed, and he saved New York.
He cleaned up New York,
and he did it by not paying any taxes and not paying bills and abusing workers and things like that. I mean, he was considered the savior of New York. Like, that's incredible to me. And I think in a lot of ways he did turn the reputation of New York around. Not for the individuals who ended up, like you said, taking the butt end of it, but for other individuals, like, hey, now this is a destination again. New York's back, baby, and all this, So
it's crazy because to take that story and make it local, there was a gentleman in Latrobe that started a beverage company. It was, I don't know if you're too young for this. It was called Le Natures. Do you remember Le Natures?
No, I don't.
So Le Natures was basically, it was this like iconic like green bottle. It was like gorgeous marketing. I mean, like, the water was so tasty. It was basically the first like fizzy water that had flavoring in it. So you could get like black cherry or strawberry or blah, blah, blah. And it was so good. And it was made in Latrobe. And so this gentleman who started the business built this small factory and was doing his thing. And as things were going on, this building just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then all of a sudden it started coming out that he wasn't paying any taxes. He wasn't paying the construction people. And what was happening was that there was some loophole, and I'm not like totally up on this, so like don't quote me, but he basically was just if you have something in construction, then I guess you don't have to pay for it while it's still in construction. There is this loophole that I remember, people talking about, saying like, well, the building was in construction, so payments weren't due at that point. It wasn't due until the job was done. And that's why the factory kept getting bigger.
So it was just always in construction.
It was always, and I'm not fucking around. That building was in construction from the time it opened until he sat in jail.
Wow.
And dude, this guy went off and built like some humongous multi-million-dollar mansion in the middle of Ligonier, and there it sits, just fucking deteriorating. Yeah, unoccupied. And they went into and then they started finding out about laundering money and things like that. They walked into like a secret cubby or room or something in this house and found like a couple $1 million worth of gold watches and like all this fucking crazy shit, dude. But like, yeah, it's nuts. Those people are very fascinating to see because you're right. It just takes the flip of a switch for someone normal to turn into some cutthroat motherfucker that's just like, I'm going to make it to the top and fuck everybody.
Yeah.
Like, screw everyone on the way up. And to be honest, man, there's not one billionaire that I feel is a great person, except for, and I don't know, I'm only going by news stories here, Jeff Bezos' ex-wife.
Yeah. That's the one that came to my mind, too.
She is literally just giving away billions and billions and billions of dollars. Actually, fuck that. There is a guy, the dude who owns 5 Hour Energy, the drink, he is a super quiet, mild-mannered man. And what he's doing with his money is taking all of that and trying to figure out how to desalinate water from the ocean for like California, third world countries, things like that. And he has it. Like he has the idea. There's these barges that sit out and they suck in all the water. And on the ship, it goes through the desalination process and everything. And then they take and they pump the water all the way back into the coast. And it's perfectly good drinking water at that point.
Wow. That's
it's
really
nuts. Cool. That documentary's on Netflix. Or not Netflix, I'm sorry, YouTube. Highly recommend.
Okay.
Going on there and just typing in like 5 Hour Energy guy.
5 Hour Energy guy solves the water crisis.
Dude, I'm telling you what, man, it's awesome. He started a whole technology company based on solving world's problems. And that's what he pumps. Don't quote me. Again, I'm pretty sure it's like 80% of his money gets funneled into that.
Wow.
And he just tries to create a business that will solve the world's problems and keep us moving.
That's rare.
Dude, it's so nuts. He lives in a pretty normal house for being a billionaire.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty wild.
Well, I don't think there's any living human being in the year 2022 who would ever need $1 billion, ever. But
sure about that? I paid $5 a gallon yesterday.
That would help. I don't know. Not to get
It's just a lot of money.
Well, it's to have $1 billion. It's really hard to think. I have $1 billion. I have $34 billion. I have $500 billion. Whatever. Because at that point, it actually doesn't really matter. Mm-hmm. You know, from one to hundreds of billions of dollars, it actually doesn't really matter. You win. You've beat the system. To see individuals starving, to see individuals with nothing, to see individuals, I would hope that. Well, actually, I feel that now. I drive through certain areas and I'm like, because I don't necessarily think my wife and I have a lot of money, and then I look at some areas and I'm like, wow, like we need to give more. Like more needs to be done. And to see billionaires, because what you do is you convince yourself that you have earned this, that you deserve it. We all do it with everything you have, through your job, whether you're, whatever class you're in, no matter what, you convince yourself, I've done the work, I've earned this.
Yeah.
This is given to me, and you hoard and you keep and you say, I'm going to pass it to the next generation or whatever. But that just gets into that mindset of certain billionaires. That's a next level that I don't think anybody needs $1 billion.
Right.
I think you can give 3/4 of it away more and you'll be just fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the whole reason you're not a billionaire. And that's the whole reason I'm not.
That's my point of these individuals who skyrocket to the top is exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's feelings involved. And that's the thing. I mean, like Elon Musk, what a fascinating guy he is.
Yeah.
I mean, like young dude, semi good looking guy, just and it seemed like he was just having a lot of fun. Like he was building Tesla, and then all of a sudden you hear him having these big giant fucking flamethrowers that he was like having fun with, and it's just like, then he's on Joe Rogan, he smokes some weed, and it's like, whoa, this guy's like kind of cool. He's just like the dude that we need to shake it up. You know what I mean? Like he's a very cool, figure in society. And recently, like he was touted as the first guy that's going to be a trillionaire.
Yeah.
And that's like, dude, I don't even understand what $1 million would feel like. So I can't understand what 1 billion seems like. 1 trillion to me is like, takes me back to like 2020 when the government is sitting there saying, okay, we'll pump 2 trillion into relief checks or whatever. And that was for the entire country.
Yeah.
We all got, $1,500, something like that. Okay. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's insane. There was this one video on YouTube. Maybe it was TikTok. Something bit. They did it by piles of rice.
Yes,
And
I've seen that.
Dude,
I've
how
seen it.
fascinating.
I've
Like
seen it.
$100,000 was 1 grain of rice.
Yep.
And then you see the pile of billion, and dude,
That's what I mean. There's really no difference between 1 billion and 500. I mean, there is obviously, but
right.
you'll never spend it. You'll just never get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it's so crazy.
Yeah, and when you talk about $1 trillion, I mean, it's not like Elon could. If we said, "Hey, Elon, you have a bill for $200 billion right now," he can't pay that because it's tied up in assets and stocks in a Tesla company and things like that. So it's not like it's liquidated money.
Right. Yeah.
That's why it just all kind of seems so ridiculous to me. It's like, oh, he's gonna be the first trillionaire. Yeah, but it's like, no, like it's just like made up, like
Right. Yeah.
like prove it, But people will say, yeah. Anyway, back to the point that you're making is, it just doesn't make any sense to people like us who will never experience that, and maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Even though there's a lot of people who kind of chase that, they think that that's like success. That's that's what we're all shooting for, is to get to $1 billion.
Yeah.
It's not.
I mean, me and Jesse have had this conversation 1 billion times. It's billions and billions
200
of times.
billion times.
It's just been forever. And I think that success, what that looks like in my life, is us being able to pay our bills every single month, take our kids on really like nice trips, not really struggle. That to me is success. If you can pay your bills and just let that shit come out automatically and not think about it and not worry about it, I think you're successful. Like that, I think is where it's at. What is the number I'm looking at? I have no idea. But
it's that to what you're speaking, that's different for everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, you know, I don't need to live in some like crazy $1 million home. Would I like to? Sure. Why not? But you know, I feel good at the end of every day that our bills are paid and we are able to take our kids on vacation and we go hang out with our friends. We support the local community. We eat out. You know, we can do that stuff. And I think that's important. Like people should really focus on like not so much what they think they need or want and just be like, yo, I'm pretty thankful for what the fuck I have.
Yeah, that's certainly true. And yeah, I think success can certainly be defined by each person individually.
Yeah.
What they think. But yeah, it's tough to imagine getting to a certain level. I think no matter where you are in society, success looks different. So if I became the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm no longer comparing myself to Greensburg residents. Now I'm comparing
Right.
myself to other CEOs of multi-million-dollar companies.
Right.
And so maybe my definition of success changes once I get to that point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So now
And it always does.
yeah. So now I have to beat out everybody else to be more successful or whatever. I'm using myself because I don't want to blame anybody else, but I think that's just how it is. Your perspective changes no matter where
Yeah.
you are. You know, you could be dirt poor, unable to pay bills, but you know you're a great dad,
Yeah.
and you care for your kids, and you're always there. Like that's success. Like that can be success. Is
Yeah.
you care for your family, and you did whatever you can to give them everything you possibly could. That could be success. It just changes based on your status, your position, all these types of things.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's how we get to people who just skyrocket to the top. And
Right.
yeah,
Well, I don't know. I think, you know, and I don't, as much as we were joking earlier about like catching flack for this shit and, you know, I'm going to get yelled at when I get home and all that stuff. It's just, you know, we're presenting, you know, we're talking about what's happening in the world and like all the things that just continue to bog up the news cycle and all of that stuff. And, you know, I hope everyone thinks that, you know, we made a pretty fair assessment about everything. You know, there's plenty of jokes and things like that that could have been cracked and all of that
yeah,
stuff.
it wasn't the funniest one.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's just, you know, this subject itself really isn't funny. It's not hilarious. So it's like, you know, to lighten the mood here and there. But I mean, I hope we get some decent feedback on this and not just, you don't agree with me, so fuck you. Like, I hope we don't get that, which we might.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
I'm all right with it.
I don't know how you. Yeah, I don't know how you feel, but I'm open to people who just
Yeah.
want to be like, "Hey, I totally disagree with you."
Yeah.
And you know, let's respond to that, or let's see what they have to say.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think we attacked any side or anything. It's
I
just,
don't think so.
you know, here's two people who see it the way that they see it, and this is what's happening in our lives in present day right now. So it's good to talk about it.
Right. And if you would like to do your own podcast
Here we go.
about what you think,
Plug it.
you could rent this very studio.
It's nice.
You could be sitting in the captain's chair, and you could talk about whatever you want.
You know what I'm thankful for? I'm thankful for these Look at this. I'm like, I can lean back
Right.
in this chair. This was the dream. We talked about this
Oh, yeah.
for like months. You were like, oh, we're going to be able to lean back, move the arm of the mic.
Oh, yeah.
It's oh, this is way better.
This is where it's at.
Yeah, you got to check this out. You got to do your own podcast.
Right? So, all right. I think we're gonna call it here. I do have to pick your brain about how to cook a brisket.
Let's talk about it.
All right.
We can even talk that. We can make that an episode. Like, just talk about that in an episode of
I'm all
barbecue.
about it. Let's get some barbecue dudes in here.
Nice.
All right.
Welcome to the Local 724 podcast. In 3, 2, 1.